Hey there, in today's video, I am finishing up 3 different art journal pages. And to be completely honest, I almost deleted them all because here's the thing, the second one caused me a lot of problems and I never felt like I got a good result at the end. And of course, being on camera, you know, you're trying to do your best and you want to show an example, and maybe I could have deleted it and done another one for you, right? But I decided, no, the part of the process is the struggle. Part of the process is not knowing what to do next, pressing on, persevering, and sometimes, a lot of times, the result isn't exactly what we want. So I wanted you to see that not everything is going to turn out the way you want, and not every time you make art is it going to be a great result. But I decided to keep it real, and I decided to not delete that video. I decided that it was more important to share the process than it was to show you some kind of really great result that I have. So, I mean, I'm human just like you, and I'm prone to wanting you to go, oh, wow, look at that. That turned out great. But I feel like that's not really what these videos are about. They're more about sharing my process. They're more about sharing how I do things versus, wow, look at me, this is great. So anyway, I hope that this encourages you to, look through your art journals or whatever you're working on. It could be canvases. I do have canvases stacked up too, so don't get me wrong. It could be whatever, but it's easier, honestly, it's just easy to film or to do these videos on an art journal because it's the smaller space. But it could be whatever substrate you're working on. It just means, like I just put out some paint and then use that paint to work and finish a few things. Now, if I was working on a canvas, I might pull that back out again and work again on it. But for this art journal page, it's done. And so I think that's the question that was asked to me by one of the viewers of one of the videos was like, show a finished version, show how do you finish it. So a while ago, I did show how I finished some art journals. That's probably like a year ago, and I'll link that below. But so this was a new one, and I worked on 3 different ones. And I might have done more if that second one hadn't caught me off guard. And here's the thing, I really felt like what I was working on was, I was trying to preserve parts of it, which is fine, but then I got really stuck. And that was where the process kind of fell apart. And thankfully you'll watch that in fast forward, but I just want to kind of give you a heads up, like, okay, wow, that didn't turn out so great. But anyway, I hope that this encourages you to work in your art journals, to keep it real no matter what, and to persevere even when you're not finding a result that you absolutely love, that there is usually some little gem in there or something that you've learned, and that no amount of exploring and experimenting is wrong or bad, even if the result isn't exactly what you want. So I'll quit blabbering on, and let's get on with the video. Okay, so I'm ready to jump in and try to complete a few art journal pages. I have just put out some paint. I don't know, I might go grab some other colors. At this point, I have titanium white, Titan buff, chromium oxide green, yellow oxide, Payne's gray, and raw umber. And then I grabbed a few different sizes and brushes, but I do have my brushes all around me, so I can grab those. I grabbed a palette knife and then a color shaper, and also my catalyst wedge, because I never really know what I'm going to use, but if I might use other ideas. Now, when I have something like this that is really junky, as I would like to call it, and really messy, I've made marks, I've collaged, I can feel the collage underneath. Actually, I feel like there's some pastel on here. There's all kinds of stuff going on. So my first idea is I'm just going to tone it down a bit and make it less crazy, because this is a little too crazy for me. But I will also say there are colors on here that I wouldn't normally use. There are just a lot of things on it, so I don't know how it's going to end up as I move forward. I'm going to, maybe some of it will be in fast forward, some of it I will talk about as I go, just depends on what there is to say. Primarily, I'll just be using these paints, and you can kind of see the process, but that I go through when I try to make decisions about what to do and how to make it more of a cohesive page, finished page, essentially. So, okay, we're just going to get started. I'm going to jump right in
and I already decided I don't have the right brush. I need a brush about like this size. So yeah, these weren't, I chose them, but they're not the ones I want right now. And I think I'm gonna first go in with a little bit lighter color. I'm gonna mix the white and the Titan Buff just to kind of, and I might add a little bit of this yellow. So, and we'll just see what happens. First, I'm gonna start, when I look at this, I go, what is it that I don't like? What is a little bit too crazy for me? And those things usually I block out in light and dark. And actually, now that I'm looking at it, I'm feeling like I'm gonna need to add maybe some darks in, even though this green is fairly dark. There's a lot of midtones in here. But first, we're gonna edit out the parts I do not like. And that very well might help, you know, some of the problem. So we'll see. We'll just see what happens. Okay, I think I have gotten to a place, I think I would call this finished, you know, for an art journal page. I'm thinking maybe I want to add a little hint of green, a little bit more down here. But otherwise, it's as simple as that. Now you might go, oh my gosh, there was none of that collage underneath. But here's what I'm going to say is all of what was down gave me something to respond to. And that is, to me, is the whole point of an art journal page is like, oh, you already have something down. How can I respond to it and make it something that I like? And let's just go up here. You know, the more you look at something, the more I want to dull that down just a little bit and maybe make these a little bit, maybe I don't want them quite so out there. So to me, I'm going to call this good. And that just kind of shows you how I take colors that I like and cover up the parts that I don't like. You can see I started with some tick marks with my mark making tool because the cool thing about painting over something is that then you can reveal underneath. And then I decided to put in a ladder, which is something that I absolutely love doing. I left the circles, although I did make them a little bit darker and added those in. I could have done that in green, and maybe that would have been better. The black, or the Payne's Gray is a little dark. I mean, adds quite a bit of contrast. But for the most part, I call this page done, and it's an example of how to get started. And so let's move on to the next one. Here's another art journal page, which I actually like all these colors, and it's kind of similar to this color palette here, which I guess is because it's a favorite color palette of mine. But it's too messy and I have to edit some things out like I did in the other one. And so it's about making decisions. Like I'll just kind of start by, I'm going to use this brush and I'm going to start again by just using kind of a lighter color. And as you can see, not that I don't use things directly out of the tube, but you know, often I don't because I like I like the effect that you get by mixing colors. It just seems like it's a little bit richer than just something out of the tube. Not that they're not great, and if you use that, that's fine. But one of the things I like to do is kind of mix up. And of course, some people actually create recipes. I don't. I just kind of, each time it's a little bit different, and I'm okay with that. And then whatever color happens to be on my brush, and then sometimes I put it on and I don't like it, but it's all about experimenting and trying and seeing what happens. That's my philosophy anyway. Okay, so what don't I like in this one? What do I feel like is too much? There's some things that I like. There's some things that I don't like. I'm going to start right here. I don't like this. This is a little brighter than I was hoping, but it is. I'm going to tone it down with a little bit more of that yellow oxide. It is the lighter color, which is what I'm going for. So you see right out of the gate, I already like it better. So what else would if I'm looking, what else don't I like? And that is honestly where you start, because it just helps you, informs you about how to make decisions. And it could be that I do just a little bit of this and I end up liking it. I'm going to go over those stripes. I feel like they're not, I like that better. I don't really like this word deface up here, so I'm going to, or decliner. I like the number, but I didn't like those words. There's something here I'm not sure that I don't like, and I'm not sure what part it is that I don't like. So sometimes you just have to go over it, even if it means that you get rid of something that you did like. So yeah, I like that. That calmed that down. So you can see already, it feels better to me. At least it feels better to me. So you can kind of get a gist of what the look I'm going for, or what I'm trying to accomplish by what I'm doing. So is like, get rid of the things I don't like. And you probably are thinking, well, why did you put that in there in the first place? I think partly, sometimes it's just like I'm exploring and playing or getting rid of all the different collage medium, in this case probably. And then why didn't I, put the right thing down to begin with? But, hey, I don't think, I think there's a couple parts of the process that you can do. And there's the editing, which I'm doing now. And then there is the actual just like goofing around, which is what, happened on this page. And I think if you don't have both, it's easy to then not to do anything, because you think, oh, it has to turn out perfect. And if it doesn't turn out perfect, then you're upset or you don't even want to start. And then, oh, what a downward spiral that is. Trust me, I've been there. So as you can see, I'm just making marks now on the paper. I might do something like this to kind of emulate this, although wish I hadn't done that now. But here's the thing. I can just take my color shaper and go over it and kind of pull it back. What do you think about that? And then, just add some of this in, which actually I would like to tone. That's actually a good idea. I'd like to tone this whole part down. These letters are they're a little too much for me. I do like them, but I feel like it's distracting. Okay. So as you can see already, we are making progress on this. So I'm going to do a little bit more work in Fast Forward, and then we'll come back and talk about it. This one had gotten completely out of hand. In the effort to preserve some of my favorite spots, I ended up ruining the whole thing. And maybe at some point I would have liked it, but I didn't. So I actually I had to turn the camera off and just paint a few things just to get me back on track. And I think I'm liking just some of these marks like this. And then I think the problem is, as much as I like when I look at other people's art, I like all the thousands of little details and all the little things. I don't like it in my own art. And so I think it's important to listen to the things that are speaking to us and the things that aren't. And so as I really wanted to preserve this and those circles, but the two didn't really make sense to me. I wanted to save a lot of the piece, and it just wasn't working. And the more I went with it, the more frustrated I was getting. And then of course it was like, oh, I'm filming this, and so that's a whole nother story. Like, you feel compelled to somehow put your best foot forward or something, for lack of a better word. But in any case, I ended up kind of painting over most of it, and I think that's okay. I'm just going to touch up a few spots here, and then I'm going to call it good. I feel like it's okay. I'm a simpler person in terms of the amount of details I like. I'm not. Well, I hate to take out everything that I just showed you, but sometimes that's how it goes. And I think the bottom line is, if you're not liking something, it's easy to pretend like it's all so precious and you don't want to ruin it, and like somehow you can't create something similar again, because of course you can. And so there is the tendency then to timidly approach what you're doing. And this is just an art journal, and there's no need to be timid. This is a time to explore and to try new things. And I feel like I did. And unfortunately, this is going away too. So there you go. It's kind of still there, but it's not there. And maybe I like it better just with some of this than I do. So in general, my feeling is this is okay. It's not great, all for the sake of trying to save a few elements, which ultimately I did. I mean, this is fine. It feels a little bit messy. I mean, I do like those black marks, but it's not exactly what I would have wanted. But I will say, I feel like this page for me is completed, and I don't think I'm going to do anything else. I think the only thing I might do is come back with a few more small marks that are very quiet, and then call it good. So, I feel like I want to encourage you, like, not everything you do is going to be a masterpiece. Clearly this still looks like a big mess, but it's about pushing forward, trying new things, not giving up. And, ultimately it's about figuring out, okay, what things do I like? What things don't I like? Cause that's the whole point here. And I know that I don't like super busy things. And so I got really tight when I was doing this. I started using the smaller and smaller paintbrushes, and that's not good either. You need to vary your size. You need to vary your tools, to make it look interesting. And also the colors got much more and more muted. And by that, I mean, there was no value. There's no dark and light. So we do have some darker here. This feels wrong because I wanted to save these and I wanted to save this. And it feels like I need something up here. And so maybe I will. Maybe I'll just do a circle up there and call it good. But in general, this is too wet and the paint is too thick at this point to do anything else to it. But I did want to discuss it. And I am going to leave this video in just so you can see that not everything is as easy as it looks. And so persevere, and not every page is going to be your favorite. Okay, I think I would be lying to say I'm not a little bit scared to start this third one after the last one. But here's the thing, you just got to keep pressing on. I did want to show you 3 finished pages, and I'm bound and determined to do that. So this last one this art journal is smaller, so hopefully that means it will be easier, right? So I'm gonna get started, and I think this time I'm gonna start with the dark. I've been starting with the lighter color, but I think I'm gonna start with the Payne's Gray. And like I said, I do like to add a little bit of other colors in, even though that dilutes it a little bit. I'm going to be bold. I think I'm just gonna be, you know, really bold here. Maybe I'll add some, well, no, let's just start here. Okay, I'm gonna do crazy. I'm gonna do like a frame or something, okay? Let's start there. We're off to a good start. And then I'm going to take my yellow, I wanna say ochre, but I think it's oxide, and make up a nice color. Maybe I'll even add a little green in there. Oh, wow, that green is overpowering. So find a nice color that I like, a little bit lighter. And then I think I'm gonna color in this middle part. Oh yeah, that's kind of nice. And keep some of that showing through. I like that. Okay, so what should we paint the outside? Should I go with the yellow? Let's try that. Yellow oxide, but you know, I wanna mix a little bit in. So let's just kind of, I'm gonna try to keep this really quick after that last one, which was, that was the problem. I got kind of really a little too tight and a little too precious. And this is not what this is about, but it is finding these pages that, you know, like I've put stuff down, but they're not done. They're kind of just in no man's land. Okay, so there's that. Let's see, let's cut that up. It's kind of like a frame. What would we put in there? What could we put in our frame? Well, if I was, you know, if I painted florals or something like that, you could do a floral in there, and I still could. I do flowers on some of my cards at occasions, but right here, do you see what happened? This is cool because this pink is coming through. There's some colors. It's just, we're almost finished. So this is awesome. I'm gonna just, maybe I've been doing a lot of circles. Every single one of them has circles, so let's stick with that circle motif. Let's add in some, what color circles? Well, kind of light colored, I guess, even though that's light colored. Dark colored? Maybe this outside edge needs to be a different color. What about that? What if it was more, maybe we need to do something to make it a little more exciting, which I'm not sure if we can do that, but let's scrape back some of this. Okay, just to add something and mess that up a little bit, because it seems like it's a little too perfect and pieces of paint are coming off my color shaper. Okay, yeah, I like that better. It's like, okay, I'm tired of trying to do it really nice. I'm done doing that. Okay, that I like. So let's see, let's add just more. All my paintbrushes are pretty messed up. Let's grab a new paintbrush and let's find, ooh, that's kind of a scrubby one. I think I like that. Okay, let's find some light colored up here. And add a little bit of yellow. Always add more than I think. And add in some bold, now that Payne's Gray wasn't dry, but okay. Liking that. Let's do this circle better. Okay. Okay, I know this is, you're like, wow, after that last one, this is what you're doing? Yeah, this is what I'm doing. Just something very simple. And look at, feel like I'm gonna add back in some of that lighter color, if I can, to my circle. And what I could do, well, because here's the thing, it's too light. This either has to be lighter and darker. This is not right. Let's try again. Let's try this again. Let's take this off, okay? We have to figure this out. Okay, I've scraped most of it off. So now we start from scratch. We're gonna do a little bit this here, okay? And even scrap that in a little bit, okay? Then we are going to, maybe this is the spot where maybe we go a little bit darker with the green, not so light. even though that was kind of nice. We can still do a fun, let's add a little bit of this in, okay? Get a different quality to it. Okay, and let's add a little bit of this. Okay, let's go over it again. We're not gonna get as much of that other color coming through as we did earlier, but I think we're gonna have a better result. So there's that, okay. And we could do a little bit, well, you know, we could, oh, okay, here I am scraping it again. Because I was thinking it is kind of fun to have that show through. And now we've got kind of a couple layers. And that color is a little darker than it was. So let's come in with a very light color. Where's that paintbrush again? Okay. And let's see if we can add those circles like I did, but in a better way. And maybe this paintbrush is too big, but I'm gonna hold it in such a way. And I wanna have I wanna have them looping together. I don't know if that makes sense, but there we go. And okay, I like it. That's very, very simple. And if I wanted to add, you know, like a little something else in, I could do something, you know, around the edges, just this really subtle kind of tick mark. I could add something inside here, but I don't think so. I think I'm just gonna leave it as it is. I like simplicity, and there was a lot going on in the background. And sometimes I feel like, you know, that, like I did before, there's a real tendency to, I guess I could kind of add a little more of this. There's a tendency to overwork it and then get frustrated, and then of course it doesn't turn out. And there's reasons for that. There's reasons that it would be overworked, and sometimes you got to do that in order to figure things out. And so here's a simple one. Anybody can do this. It's a circle and a square essentially. And so anyway, this is how I finish my art journal pages. And I just wanted to give you that example. So I hope this inspires you, even though some of them have a better result than others, it is definitely worth giving a shot. And I did want to show you that I do go back. Usually I would do it over time. I would just add and add and add. And then finally I go, oh, it's finished. So that is probably more of my process, but it is sometimes good just to have some paint down and just say, I'm going to finish this, or I'm going to get it to a place that I like, because you have to work through some of that, the tension of, not always knowing where it's headed. So look at me, I can't stop, right? It's like, let's just, okay. Maybe I'll do one more through there. Okay, so time to stop before I end up redoing this whole one too. So thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.